So I was reading this report the other day, and it had this line that, it just really resonated. It said the modern business is swimming in sensors and drowning in spreadsheets.
That is the perfect description. It's the classic data overload paradox.
Right.
You have all this raw data, just rows and rows of it, but it's just static noise. Unless you have a way to translate it, to turn that noise into a signal,
Yeah.
it's basically useless.
And that translation layer, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into Power BI. Specifically, we're looking at this amazing guide on how to build a sales performance dashboard, from scratch. But we're not just talking about making pretty charts here, are we?
No, not at all. The real mission is to move from just reporting what happened to
Yeah.
genuine intelligence, which is understanding why it happened. And the source we're using, it's a guide based on the Retail Superstore dataset.
Of course. The hello world of the entire analytics community. I feel like you can't be in data for more than a week without running into Superstore.
You really can't. But the guide uses it for a very good reason, and it's why we're focused on it. It's the perfect sandbox.
How so?
It forces you to deal with the messy reality of a retail business. You've got different regions, profit margins, shipping modes. It's complex enough to feel real, but it's, contained enough that you can actually learn from it.
So the goal today is to take those raw columns, sales, profit, region, and build what I like to call a control room for the business.
That's a great analogy.
I want to see how we get from like a confusing spreadsheet to a dashboard that actually helps you make decisions.
Yeah, and a control room has to be clean, it has to be responsive, and it has to flash a big red light when an engine is overheating. This guide takes us through that entire process, the raw material, the cleaning, the math, and then finally the storytelling.
Okay, so let's start at the foundation, the raw material. What are we actually looking at in this Superstore data set?
Well, at a glance, it's a pretty standard flat file. You have your numbers, your facts, sales, profit, quantity.
The things we're going to count up.
Exactly. And then you have your dimensions, the context, region, category, subcategory, and the really critical one, order date.
It sounds so basic when you list it out, but I feel like people really underestimate how many secrets are hidden in a simple list of transactions.
Oh, completely. The guide points out that this specific mix lets you see the whole operation. You don't just have revenue. Because you have profit right next to sales, you can immediately start analyzing efficiency.
Right.
And with region and category, you can start segmenting your customers and products.
So you're not just asking how much did we sell, but are we actually making money in the West? Or, is our furniture category just bleeding cash?
Precisely. But, and this is the big friction point, you can't just load the file and get those answers. The guide is very clear that the first, and maybe most important step, is data cleaning and preparation.
Ah, the unsexy part. Everyone just wants to skip ahead to the cool visuals.
They do. But if you skip this, you are building your house on quicksand. The guide walks you through the get data process, which is, trivial, a few clicks. The real work starts in the Power Query editor.
The guide flagged null values as a huge problem. For anyone listening, why is a null so much worse than, say, a 0?
Because a 0 is a number. It's a value. A null is. It's a void. It's the absence of data.
It's a blank space.
It's a blank space. And in database logic, nulls can break your math. If you try to average a column that has nulls, does the system count that row or ignore it? The answer can completely wreck your calculation.
So it's a stability thing. It's like trying to build a wall and finding out half your bricks are actually holograms.
That is a fantastic way to put it. A huge stability issue. The guide suggests using the data view to find them, and then you have to make a choice. Do you remove the whole row if it's junk? Or do you replace the nulls with something like a 0 to keep the record?
You have to make a call on the data's integrity before you even think about a chart.
You do. And the other big pitfall mentioned is the order date column.
Why is that one so tricky?
Because computers are so literal. A lot of systems export dates as just text. To a computer, January 1st is just a string of letters, no different than Apple.
Ah.
You have to explicitly use the change type feature to tell Power BI, hey, this is a calendar date. If you don't, you lose all the time intelligence functions. You can't calculate year-over-year growth on a piece of text.
That makes total sense. Okay, so once the data is clean, the guide talks about calculated columns. This is where we start making new data from the old data, right?
Correct. You're enriching the data set. And the classic example in the guide is profit margin. The WA file gives you sales,
Yeah.
and it gives you profit, but doesn't tell you the margin percentage.
Which is arguably the most important metric for business health.
100%. Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. So you have to build it yourself. You create a new column, and the formula is just profit divided by sales. Instantly, for every single order, you know how efficient that sale was. You've just created new intelligence.
Okay, floors are scrubbed, dates are fixed, we've got our new margin column. Now we get to the heavy lifting. The guide calls this the engine room. We're talking KPIs and DAX.
DAX, data analysis expressions.
I always feel like DAX is where a lot of people hit a wall. It looks kind of like Excel formulas, but it behaves differently.
It does. It's a formula language built for relational data models, so it thinks about context in a way a spreadsheet cell doesn't. But the guide highlights the key formulas you need for your KPIs, your key performance indicators.
Okay, let's run through them. What are the big headline numbers we need?
Well, you start simple, total sales. The DAX is just SUM sales. Same for total profit, SUM profit. Easy enough.
Those are the basics.
But then it gets more nuanced. Remember that profit margin calculation?
Yeah, profit divided by sales, right.
But when you want to calculate that for the entire dashboard, not just one row, you shouldn't just use the slash symbol. The guide specifically says to use the divide function.
Why the extra step? Why not just A over B?
It's to avoid the divide by zero error. Imagine you filter your dashboard to a day where you had 0 sales. If your sales number, the denominator, is 0, a normal division formula just crashes. It shows an error on your dashboard.
Which looks really bad in a board meeting.
It's a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But the DAX function, divide, SEM, sales, has a built-in safety net. If the denominator is 0, it just returns that third value, in this case 0, instead of breaking everything.
That's a great little detail. It's like defensive coding for your dashboard.
Precisely. It makes the dashboard robust no matter how a user starts clicking around.
The guide also mentions building measures for monthly sales trends and finding the top performing category.
Right. And these aren't just single numbers. They're calculations designed to be plotted or ranked. Without them, you only see a single snapshot in time, not the direction the business is heading.
Okay, so the math engine is running. We have our defensive formulas. Now for the fun part that everyone's waiting for, visualizing the story. How do we arrange this control room so it's actually readable?
The guide suggests a clear hierarchy. You start at the top with KPI cards. These are just those big, bold numbers: total sales, total profit. They answer that first immediate question: are we okay?
The at-a-glance layer: if the numbers are green, I can breathe. If they're red, I start asking questions.
Exactly. Then you move into comparisons. For sales by region, the guide recommends a bar chart. The human eye is just incredibly good at comparing the length of bars. You can instantly see the East region is twice as big as the South.
No mental math required.
None. And for the product mix, what you're actually selling,
What do we use there?
for category contribution, the guide suggests a pie chart or a donut chart. I know.
Uh-oh, here we go, the pie chart debate.
The data viz purists, they just hate pie charts.
They really do. It feels like there's a whole subculture dedicated to hating on them.
There is. But honestly, for showing a simple part-to-whole relationship with just a few slices, like furniture, technology, office supplies, it works. It shows the split effectively. Just don't use it for 20 different categories.
Fair enough. And for the trends over time, I assume we're using a line chart?
Yes, a line chart is the gold standard for monthly sales trends. This is where formatting that order date correctly really pays off. You can see the seasonality, the spikes around the holidays, the dips in the summer. It turns static data into a narrative.
And what about the geographic data? The regions and states?
You have to use a map visualization. It plots the sales bubbles right on a map. It's so intuitive. You see a big bubble over California, a tiny one over Wyoming. It gives you that spatial context that a spreadsheet never could.
But the real power here, the power in Power BI, isn't just that these charts exist, it's that they all talk to each other. The guide spends a lot of time on filters and slicers.
This is the absolute game changer. A slicer is basically a remote control for your whole dashboard. You add a slicer for region, someone clicks west, and every single KPI card, bar chart, and line chart instantly recalculates to show data only for the west.
Which brings us right to the next piece. Making it move. The interactivity. That's the real difference between a dashboard and just a static report, isn't it? A PDF is dead. A dashboard is alive.
Absolutely. In a PDF, the questions are already answered. In a dashboard, the user can ask their own questions. The guide highlights 3 key features here: grill through, cross-filtering, and tooltips.
Okay, grill through sounds pretty intense. What is that?
It's all about Progressive disclosure. You don't want to clutter your main dashboard with every single product you sell.
Right, that would be thousands of items.
So you set up a drill through. If a manager sees the technology category is doing well, they can right-click on it and drill through to a whole separate detail page that just shows the breakdown of phones, copiers, accessories. You get the detail only when you ask for it.
That keeps the high-level view clean. I like that.
And cross-filtering. That's what we touched on. But it works on the charts themselves. You click the California bubble on your map, and your product bar chart will automatically filter to show you only what people in California are buying. Everything becomes interconnected.
And the last one, tooltips.
The unsung hero of good design. That's the little box that pops up when you hover your mouse over something.
Oh, right.
You hover over a peak on your sales trend line, and a little box appears with the exact sales number and profit margin for that specific month. It adds layers of context without using up any screen space.
So we've built the Ferrari. It's got a clean engine, a great dashboard. Now we actually have to drive it. The so what part. What are the business insights we're actually looking for here?
This is the whole point, right? The guide calls it storytelling. We didn't do all this work just to admire the colors. We need to find the signals.
Okay, so let's hunt for the good news first. How do we spot the winners?
You're looking for the high profit regions. You scan the map, the bar charts. If the East region is generating 40% of all profit, that's a huge signal. You have to ask why. What are they doing right? Can we replicate their strategy?
And the timeline. What does the line chart tell us?
Seasonal sales trends.
Yeah.
If you see that huge sales spike in the fourth quarter every single year, that should directly inform your inventory planning. You stop reacting to demand and you start anticipating it. You stock up in October so you don't run out in December.
But a good dashboard is also an early warning system. We have to find the bad news, too.
Yes. And the guide really emphasizes detecting loss-making categories. This is where that profit margin measure we built earlier becomes your most powerful weapon.
Give me an example of how that would work.
Okay, so you might look at your dashboard and see that the table subcategory has massive sales revenue. The bar on the sales chart is huge.
So you think you're a hero.
You think you're killing it. But then you look at the profit for that same category, and the bar is negative. The margin is negative.
Oof.
You are literally losing money on every single table you sell. You are paying customers to take them.
That's the classic trap. We're losing a little on every sale, but we'll make it up in volume.
Exactly. And without this kind of dashboard, you'd see the high sales and think everything is great. With the dashboard, you see the negative margin and you know you have a crisis. It drives the next decision. Do we raise prices? Do we find a cheaper supplier? Or do we just kill that product line?
That's the power of it. It takes the guesswork out of the conversation. You're not arguing opinions anymore. You're just looking at the facts together.
It turns you into a business detective. And the guide stresses that this is why these skills are so valuable, so employable. You're not just a spreadsheet person anymore. You're a business intelligence asset.
So to recap this whole journey, we went from a messy spreadsheet, we cleaned it, we formatted it, we built some safe defensive DAX formulas, and then we visualized the story.
And then we use that story to actually diagnose the health of the business.
And the source material makes it really clear that the absolute key here is practice. You can't just learn this by listening to us.
Not at all. You have to keep your hands dirty. The best advice is to download the Superstore dataset or any data you care about and just start building. Break things. Fix them. That's the only way you learn how to find the story in all that noise.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with one last thought. We spent a lot of time today talking about efficiency, right? Using data to find those loss-making categories.
It's the logical end goal of good analytics.
It is. But here's the provocation. In a world driven entirely by these kinds of dashboards, where we can see instantly that a new idea is loss-making in its first month, do we risk killing off innovation too early?
That's a really dangerous possibility.
I mean, if Amazon had looked at a Power BI dashboard in year one, that profit KPI would have been bright red. They might have just shut the whole thing down. If every decision we make is based on an immediate red or green number on a card, do we lose the patience required for real long-term creativity? Something to think about.
Data tells you exactly what happened. It doesn't always tell you what could happen if you just stick with it.
Exactly. Thanks for diving in with us. Go build something cool. We'll see you next time.